What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Bryce with the Real Squad.
It's your boy out here with the Real Squad.
And today we have Insidious Chapter 5, or The Red Door. This is my man Patrick Wilson's, is it Wilson? Yeah, Patrick Wilson's directorial debut. Man, it's been in the works. I guess he's been wanting to do this for a while, and he stepped his foot into horror, and he brought us his very own version of Insidious. A franchise he's been starring in for a while now.
Yep. Younger him and now older him. Older him was first, but he had definitely played a kid in a lot of it. So
yeah, facts.
He's a big part of this franchise.
We have some returning cast members from the first one. The kid who played Dalton, Ty Simpkins, has returned. I like when they do stuff like that, when they bring the same child actor back. And they looked exactly the same pretty much. So, you know, bringing that nostalgia in with the movie. And we have some newcomers as far as Sinclair Daniel, who plays Chris Winslow in the film.
They even brought the little brother back.
Oh, yeah, facts. Him, and I think the little daughter actually had like a little quick cameo. Like she wasn't in it as much. They damn near wrote her out.
They did for sure.
But brief little history real quick. I am an Insidious fan. The first movie kind of blew me away. At the time, I wasn't interested in horror, and I got a phone call from my brother like, "Hey, you need to go see this movie. It has this crazy like jump scare in it." And even though I was told about the jump scare, it still got me. I was like, "Holy shit!" It was like the imagery was terrifying. You know, everybody knows about the black and red demon standing behind the head of, I forgot, was it Elise?
Dalton.
Oh, it was Dalton's head. Okay.
I mean, not Dalton, Josh.
Oh, Josh.
The
Okay.
dad.
Yeah. Okay.
My bad.
But yeah. So ever since then, I was pretty much wrapped in. It kind of lost me with the last few movies that came out. Not so much the fourth one, but more so the third one, when it kind of drifted away from the main cast and the family.
Lambert, yeah, same. I'm a big Insidious fan. I'm a horror fan, period. Like, I mess with horror. This Insidious franchise, James Wan, and I forgot the writer name. It's Lee something. Lee, we'll put it up. But they're great. James Wan's direction is absolutely fantastic. He didn't direct this one, but the first two he directed. Great. Jump scares were perfect. A lot of the times in horror movies they overdo the jump scares, which is
or make it obvious.
Yeah, or make it obvious. Like there's music built, there's no music, and all of a sudden there's this loud noise, and obviously you're going to jump just because there's a loud noise. But James Wan's production in this one, because he was the producer in this one.
Yeah, I think he produces the majority of them, actually. If not all of them, he produced. Yeah, I think he produced all of them. But I think he's always had his hand in. I think this is a franchise he created.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this and Conjuring. Yeah. So.
Definitely were great. Like he's bringing that fresh air that we all need to the genre.
Yeah, so I think in a way, when he came out with the Insidious, he kind of, changed up the game somewhat a little bit, to the point where it was, like I said, for me, I was interested again. Like, I fell off of horror. Like, I am a horror fan, but it has been a while. And I think Insidious was the one that opened the door for me. And then you have movies like The Witch and Hereditary. Shit, man, the shit was crazy. I'm like, oh, man, horror is back. But I've always get excited when I see James Wan's name on something.
Me too.
But yeah, like you said, he did not direct this one. He produced this one. And this is Patrick Wilson's first directorial debut of a movie. And I'm gonna start off by saying I did like this movie, but it doesn't really compare as far as what the first movie did, which is always gonna be hard, because you know what I'm saying, that first movie is what brings you back in, and even upon rewatch, it was just certain elements I felt like the first movie had that this movie kind of, I would say, rushed through. Like it could have took its time, a little bit more time. Like I think all the movies have around the same runtime, about an hour 30, hour 45. But this one seemed like a lot quicker to me. Like,
yeah, for me, I'm a big fan of the second one. So for me, it goes 2, 1, 5, 4, then 3. So I'm a big fan of the second one. I love the direction and the writing of that movie. It went further into the further, and just we got a bigger idea of what James Wan and the writer were thinking when in the first one. It was kind of like a slow burn. It was very intense, and you were always on your seat, on the edge of your seat, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Sometimes it would lead you down a path where nothing happened, but then other times you would get like just terrified. You were just waiting for something to happen that was crazy.
Yeah.
The second one, it was more so it was going back and forth, shifting through time. It was kind of like more science fiction-y almost, as far as dealing with time travel and dealing with the further and dealing with other aspects.
Yeah, they went a little bit harder as far as like what they can do as far as with the imagination.
Right. And then this one, since we already know the Lamberts. Yeah, the Lamberts. It was easier to kind of get straight into the story, even though they kind of dragged it out with or I'm not going to spoil it for you, but they kind of dragged it out in the beginning. And it also had a little bit more of a comedic
so with
aspect.
the add in of the character Chris Winslow, who's played by Sinclair Daniel, definitely brought a different energy to the film. But for some reason, like, it worked for me. Like, I definitely liked her character, but I can tell how it took away a lot of the tension sometimes. But also at the same time, it built the tension, because she would come into a situation with her high energy, not knowing that this is probably not a good time. Right. So that kind of had you on the edge of your seat too. But this follows Dalton and pretty much Josh. They got their minds pretty much erased from what happened in the first two movies, so they can kind of move on from the trauma, and they like agreed to it through this therapist. And it pretty much takes off from there as Dalton is going to college to be an artist. He starts to draw all this crazy shit that's in his subconscious, and same for Josh. Like, he's having memory issues, and this doctor's telling him to do like, oh, you should do memory exercises if you're having issues, and like becoming like what's the word they use? He was like foggy. He kept saying he's been foggy, and that's that actually plays into one of the plots into the movie as far as dealing with the family. Something happens between him and the wife. But so that is where the horror element starts, with them trying to regain their memory. And I will say this, in the beginning of the movie, it is I wouldn't say a slow burn, but it is like a roller coaster build up to one particular scare that is in the very beginning, and it got me. Like, I genuinely screamed at this particular scare. Yeah, once again,
man, it was a terrifying jump. Like, I hesitate to call them jump scares when these type of thing, because jump scares have got such a bad rap in the horror community. Because it just happens so much. People use them too often, and they're too predictable. Like he said earlier, these are really good.
Yeah, they subvert expectations.
Yeah,
they go out of their way to do it.
They go out of their way.
Yeah, they go out of their way to do that.
It's like you drawing in. It's like a magic trick. Like, you drawing in over here, then something's happening over here that you don't really understand. Then it just happens, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, you know, so even it's a part in the trailer that happens where, like, they actually show, like, a jump scare, but what they did, what was clever, what all movies probably should take note and do, is they switched up the timing on it. So you expect it to happen at this particular time because you saw in the trailer, oh, this is when the monster breaks through or he grabs the person. Nah, in the film, it's either earlier or later. So you can't you can't call it, because there was a moment I was like, oh yeah, jump scare, but it didn't happen. I'm like, oh shit,
throw your timing off.
Yeah. And also, like you said, when certain things happen, you're like, oh, I know it's about to happen. He's gonna look in the mirror, and obviously he's gonna see something. But they make it. They present that opportunity and don't do it. So just like I said, that actually adds on to the build up. Like, oh shit, like now I gotta brace myself. Yep. So I think this movie did quite well as far as the jump scares, which you pretty much go to horror movies for. So I got a feeling this might do pretty good. But as far as the story aspect and dealing with the demon. It's the same demon from the first movie they show in the trailer, but I feel like that first demon in the first movie had more of an impact and was more terrifying to me dealing with that first demon in the first movie. As far as in here, it was more so it wasn't as scary. Like, I wasn't as afraid of it. I kept anticipating, like, oh shit, something's gonna happen, or I don't know, it was missing something basically.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's exactly why we both probably put the first two still above this one. In the first two, the tension kept getting built so high to the point where you were just like, and then
they delivered.
Exactly.
They delivered.
Like, the tension will be built, like you ready to snap, and then all of a sudden, like, nothing to happen, but that tension is still there, and then you waiting for the next thing to happen, and wow, something happened, and then it'll freak you out. This one, a lot of the tension was broke, like I said earlier, from the comedic aspect of it. Yeah. Like, you would find yourself like chuckling a little bit, and then a lot of the tension also was built up off of paranormal stuff. Like, they had one scene where there was kind of in someone's room, and that's a different type of tension that they built.
Okay.
And there was also, like, a supernatural aspect in that, but it wasn't like the normal Insidious supernatural. It was more like, just a kind of like a part of the plot.
Yeah.
That he needed to go through to kind of adjust his mind to be able to go somewhere else.
Dalton, right?
Dalton.
Yeah. They could have did a lot more with the demon. It was good to see him return, I guess, but at the same time, it felt like a wasted opportunity. They probably could have used if they were gonna use him, they should have went hard with him. You know what I mean? Like, they went pretty crazy with the creep factor in the first movie, and even with the second movie. Just the backstory behind the bride, whatever you want to call it, was just horrifying. Dude. So, like I said, they didn't have to do that because they bringing back same characters, but at the same time, they didn't go as hard as they could have went. And mind you, these movies are always PG-13, so you have to keep that in mind. As far as, not saying that PG-13 can't be horrifying, because obviously the first two turned up, but when you don't lean into it fully, it can have like a soft ending, and I feel like the ending to this movie was more so a soft, lighthearted ending, which is okay. Like I said, I did like it to to end the story off, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think that's why the first two were so successful. Like, the ending wasn't soft. They were in the first one. I can't remember her name. Elise. Yeah. She. She gets killed in the first one at the end. The second one, the red face demon pops up.
It leaves you wanting more, and it's still like, holy shit.
And they also finished the movie off, and then, here's another aspect though. Here's something else that we brought up earlier in the movie that now is coming back at the end, and then for the next movie you'll see what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Next. They didn't just like, make the red face demon pop up at the end, and then that's what, what I mean? Because we already got rid of him. All right, now we on to the next one. This one, it was kind of like a soft ending, like you said. It was like,
they tried to do that with because a lot of people didn't notice, because the majority of our theater walked out. There is a post-credit scene, and they tried to do what those first two movies did, and like I said, it wasn't nearly as strong as the first two. It did not hit as hard, and it was like, oh, okay, but definitely stay for the post-credit scene.
Right.
You want to go ahead and rate it?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and rate it. So for this one, I will give it a real dope movie. I will give it a 7 on the dot.
7 on the dot.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the same thing about a real dope movie. 7 on the dot. It could have easily been a real decent movie, but since it's Patrick Wilson's directorial debut, I'm gonna give him a pass. Like I said, I was entertained. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't hate any part of it. I just realized what it was lacking, comparing it to the previous film, which is always gonna happen. You're always gonna do. But yeah, man, I guess we'll stick with the real dope movie. Depending on how this review goes, we could come back and maybe do some spoiler talk, but we'll let this one ride out, and maybe you guys can comment below on if you've seen it and how you felt about it, and if you guys want to give your ratings. Any last words?
No, go check out Insidious Chapter 5 in theaters now. Also, check out our previous videos.
Yeah, man,
we work hard, man.
We've been out here knocking shit out. So do that YouTube thing, man. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and also hit notification bell.
That notification bell.
Hey, man, we need y'all out here. Even though we still are growing, a lot of you guys that come watch aren't subscribed. It's all right. Eventually, we're going to get you on our side, but please hit that sub button. We appreciate you guys. It's always been real. We're going to keep it real, and you guys be real with the Real Squad. And we are out.
Peace.